everyone. Oh, whoops, I knocked something down. Here we are, another day, another video. So today we're talking about some updates on the Leia and the bowcaster stuff.
Yes. Yeah, tons of little stuff going on. Some of it I may have done some little teasers on my Facebook, but you know, a lot of it's starting to kind of complete itself now, which I'm very happy about. You know, and of course we're talking about the Margolin here.
Oh, I thought that for a second I thought that was the finished version. I was like, dang, that looks
that'd be nice. No, we ain't quite there yet, but you know what, I have spoke to my anodizer about, I'm going to do a special run of them, and there'll be more money, of course, because polishing and anodize, especially the polishing part, is kind of expensive nowadays. It didn't used to be. Used to do that stuff with the paintball guns back in the day. It was cheap, but those guys are really it's gone up a lot.
How much
I'm
extra?
going to do a slick black one, you know, anodized nice and shiny black. And but then also the aluminum one, which, you know, you can paint or do whatever you want to with.
What do you think the extra cost will be?
Off the top of my head, probably 75 to 100 bucks.
That's not too bad.
No, I don't sound like it, but it's just two parts, you know. So it's the upper, basically you got the upper and the lower, you know, that has to be done, but they are pretty shiny. The rest of it's kind of flat looking, but I don't know. We'll see how that works out. That'll take a little more time to do too. So,
the other parts can be anodized without being polished?
I think so. I think they'll look kind of the finish they have on them now. Now the sight on mine, one of them looks a little polished. I got another one that's kind of duller. So those may vary. I don't know what would be actually correct, but have to just get some input on that.
Yeah, mine's in the safe. I didn't bring it out, but
it's okay. But I tell you what, one thing I'm really happy about this last week, and I'll show this later. It's not ready to show, but the Psych Bridge here, you know, we've talked about that last time.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really tough part to do. And
is that Windage Knob? Is that one of your machine parts?
Yes, and I'm very proud of this because David over here, one of my machines, we actually figured this out like last week. Hopefully everybody can see this. I even got the little Russian engravings on it. Can you see that, Scott?
I can see it. It's not in focus, but I can see it.
Keep going toward the camera. Maybe it'll focus in on it. I'll post some pictures of it, but there again, the real piece. Oh, I should have brought it over here. Thought I had it. No, there it is. The real part, and there again, you know, these guys machining this stuff back then were really good. Let's see if I get it in focus here. You see the original one in here? I have to hold it in front of me because my backdrop screws with me.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, on the real one, this thing's one piece with this long threaded piece sticking out of there.
Really?
I can't machine that. I mean, it'll be sticking out of the machine. The lathe will break it off. I don't know whether they did it and brazed it in or something, or did it on a screw machine. And there's some really fine knurls around the outside of it too. I mean, this is a highly detailed, it doesn't look like anything.
That'd be a lot of material waste.
It is, and it looks like a nothing part that is freaking hard to make. And you know, if I'd have had to send that to a screw machine or somebody to do that, that'd have probably been a $50 part. I don't know, especially in the quantities, because I'm not making 10 zillion of them. But what I did and come up with was making this part separate. See that?
Yeah.
And then I got a little threaded rod to go in there.
Huh.
And that way, when it goes through the blade, the sight blade, which they're working on that now, that goes across the top, this goes in with a little spring, and this will actually function. And it'll actually, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but if you can see right here, that little hole, there's a little spring and a follower goes in there. And that hits, you better see it on this one better. There's little divots on the back of that windage knob. You see those?
Yeah.
And when you turn it, it clicks.
Yeah.
So it'll actually, you know, kind of function like the real one.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't think I was gonna be able to pull that off. That was a really hard part. There's several things on this gun that are like tough to machine. You know, it's just, you just don't know how. They're so small, you can't hold them. And a lot of people think that just because it's small, it's cheap. Just because it's small means you can't hold the damn thing. That's what it means. And a lot of extra fixturing. But you can't just go at it with tooling. I mean, it breaks apart.
Well, I was just thinking about that part, and if it's all one piece, the original, I don't know how you would hold it and then engrave the outside and have a machine surface on it and all that, and knurl it.
Yeah, there's some. I definitely would have liked to have been a fly on the wall back 100 years ago. Back in the Luger days and Mauser days, and even for this kind of stuff, to just see, by hand how the hell they made some of this stuff. Because they didn't have CNC to do it. So they're really smart. There's probably a lot of those techniques are lost nowadays.
Oh, that I was reading something the other day about the SR-71 Blackbird. Think about when that was designed.
Yeah. Is that the one that leaked gas on the runway?
Yeah, freaking, it still hasn't been beat. And they made that thing with slide rules and drafting tables.
Yeah. But, I actually worked with an engineer named Mike Wood, who pretty much invented every bit of paintball gun technology there is. And, that's the thing he always talks about, in the 60s and 70s when he worked for Bill Lear and NASA and people like that, they had slide rule.
Yeah.
And they did all stuff with a slide rule. So, there's people very proficient in it, and it works.
It's a lost art. I mean, I remember in junior high, I had a drafting class, and you had drafting board, and you had all your rulers and all your compasses and everything, and we were drawing technical drawings, and it was simple because it was, school. But still, I don't think anybody knows how to do that these days.
I don't. It's kind of, it'd be nice to know it, but I just don't have time to back up and do that anymore. CAD CAM, like we obviously we use Mastercam, plugging Mastercam here. So, Mastercam, you need to sponsor War Machine, Mastercam. But they do all that for you. So,
yeah. But it's crazy that people used to do it by hand.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
With math.
Yeah, math, holy crap. Oh man, it won't show up.
No. What's that?
That's my mouse pad for Barefoot CNC. They're my local distributor of Mastercam. Oh, maybe they'll start sponsoring me so I can have some more seats of Mastercam, because I do own Mastercam. I do not hack programs. I saw some people on YouTube one time were showing a bunch of machine and showed Mastercam, and they got sued because they didn't own it.
Oh wow.
So yeah, they will get you. It's not a cheap program.
What's the license cost?
Mine, you pay yearly for tech support and updates. I forget what that is, but the program itself starts out at about $6 and goes to probably 25. I'm not sure what the high end of it is. I don't have all the seats of it because I don't.
Does it just enable more?
Yes. You start out with like lathe and mill, and then you get like, a multi-axis and mill fourth axis, kind of, you buy different things for it. But, I have it, the lathe and mill, fourth axis or to be able to do rotary stuff and 3D stuff. So.
Wow. Yeah. That's like, when we were doing photography full time, you got to buy the license for like Photoshop. And
yeah, I've got license for Photoshop too.
Back then it was $900 or something like that every time.
Probably $2,500 now.
Yeah, now it's a subscription, so I'm sure they're making more off of you this way than it used to be. But
yeah, I just noticed something, Scott. We're both wearing t-shirts. You've got a Vader shirt, and I've got the. Oh man, there we go. Yeah, we all know and love her.
Yeah,
love it. And it's joined the rebellion here, and you've got Vader, and you're sitting in front of the Bespin station and on the bridge of Death Star here. I mean, on the bridge of a Star Destroyer. So. So there's some conflict here.
That's funny. Oh, man. I'm working on yours and James's
heck yeah.
Bombs.
Nice. How bad is that? How difficult is it?
Not too bad. The main thing was like that cone. I was worried about the cone, figuring out how to because it comes as a big ass cone, and then you gotta
drill those weird holes in it.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. It really it's just measuring. I used the lathe. I used the calipers and measured off of and then just marked them. And
yeah, everybody, that was just real easy. Show them that up close. I don't think that was real easy. Those things go kind of straight down, and they've got to be in the right place.
Used a punch and then marked them, and then took it out to the drill press and drilled through it. And
yeah, because they also have to hit inside correctly.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's nice work.
It's not, they're not 100% perfect, but if you look at their screen use one, they're not perfect either.
No, it's not symmetrical. I know it's not.
It's
it's
tough.
Somebody hand did it for sure.
It's tough because you want it to be perfectly symmetrical, and they come out real close, but couple of them, the bit wants to walk a little bit, and I tried an end mill, but it doesn't make any difference really.
Yeah, that's a hard angle to do. Yeah, a lot of this stuff that you see,
because it flexes, the plastic flexes, and it's already cut. You can't do it when it's like this because it's just too big. There's not enough clearance for a drill bit or the tool to get down in, so you have to cut it first, and then it's weaker, so it wants to move around while you're holding it.
Yeah.
And you have to hold it with your hand because it's a cone. How else are you going to hold it? You can't.
You know what? That's why me and James Patrick sent those to you.
Yeah.
So because that I knew that would suck. That's why you got it.
But that was my main anxiety, was doing that. And then so hold on. Where is that thing? So the motor housing.
Ain't everybody. He's back.
The motor housing is longer than it's supposed to be. So you gotta cut. You gotta cut that much off of it.
Right. They get rid of those flanges.
Yeah. Probably the original prop was cut a little bit shorter because they did something underneath where they put like the remnants of somehow they put like this in there in the bottom of it, and then they capped it off because it's real ugly. Let me show you where's machine screen share. Here. Boom. All right, you see the bottom?
Yeah.
And it actually, there's Roy was able to, from One on Wongo, was able to take a picture of it where it's kind of off to the side, and you can see that it's angled in like the cone.
Right.
So it looks like they might have taken a piece of the cone, stuck it in there, and then filled it with something.
Well, also, everybody, take a look at those holes that were done around the outside. Notice they're not perfect. They're all over the place.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but like this one over here is kind of wonky.
Yeah,
and they made 3 or 4 of these things, and then so Gus has at least 2 or 3, I think, but this one is broken. There, you can see how thin the clearance is between the holes.
Yeah,
and this one's cracked right there. But
man, the prop store's got nice stuff, and if you haven't ever been there, go there. They have some great auctions and things.
Yeah.
Who works there that we know?
Brandon, Art Andrews, Stephen Lane.
Art
they have more employees than just those 3, but those are the only 3 I know.
Yeah, Art actually owns the RPF.
Yeah.
Too, so if you weren't aware of that.
And Brandon is the lead of the LA contingent of the prop store, and Stephen Lane. I think Stephen Lane's the founder. I might be speaking things I don't really know about, but I think that's
all they can do is get mad at us, so it's okay.
But I'd like to talk to him. I'd like to get him on a video sometime soon.
No kidding. I think we need to do that one in person at his place.
But that's in England.
Well, they make planes.
Oh yeah, I've heard about those.
Yeah.
Some dudes in North Carolina figured that out.
Well, actually, I think somebody else in Europe did it first, but go away. That was my dad.
Oh, hello.
Yep. He was about to ask something about machining. He can figure it out. So, oh, you know what? I'm gonna do something here. I might mess up, but let's see. Screen share.
Yeah. And then you got to pick, you'll see a thumbnail of all your screens and you got to pick.
You got to enable my screen sharing.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've been practicing this, man. Hopefully.
Ah, there we go. See if that lets you now.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Okay. I was going to show everybody. I posted these. Let's see if it'll share that. How'd that do? That work?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, the motor assembly.
Yes. You know what? James Patrick brought all those things in the boxes, and man, what a freaking mess. You can see where I pulled the coil out, and you can see that housing that you're cutting up.
Yeah.
And it pulls inside of it. It took a while. I mean, whoever used these old hammer drills, man, they were made to last. They're old. And man, there's a million years worth of gunk and grease.
Oh yeah, one of them was it wasn't too bad, but there was a lot of grease on it. I had to like soak it in mineral spirits for like a day to get it to loosen up.
There's another nasty picture I had somewhere here. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, so actually a day and a half of it was just cleaning them.
Yeah.
Oh geez.
I mean, it's just like about needed a shower, and after pulling those apart, all the screws were
and folks, that's why they're going to cost a lot of money because they're a pain in the butt.
Well, you know, everything vintage is a pain in the butt. And you know, I will say this, I think I say it over and over like a broken record, but you can choose to do things correctly and right, or put some effort into it, or you can buy a 3D printed or resin thing, which, you know, just this morning, I'm driving to work and I've got two separate customers, friends of mine on Facebook, who are trying to replace items that they have bought in resin that broke over the weekend.
Yeah.
One of them was left in a car that was too hot, and the other one got dropped accidentally. And one of them was an E3, and it's broken half. And the other one, I think, was an E11, which just folded up because it was 3D printed.
Wow.
And the amount of time you spend on, you might buy them cheap up front, but you're going to spend the money later, you know, eventually.
Well, it does have its place, because what's funny is the Roy's kit was done before this was discovered and before this was discovered.
Oh yeah.
But holy crap, every dimension is almost identical to the real stuff.
Yeah, he did a good job.
I mean, seriously, exactly the same.
He must have somebody give him some measurements or something.
But nobody knew what it was yet.
Wow, he scaled that off the screen.
And I think the only person who has him is Gus. And I mean, Gus is kind of helpful, but I don't think I don't think he has calipers to sit there and give everybody like the measurements.
Well, I tell you what, I sure am glad that you've done that for me before on some stuff. And Marcus over in Germany and Chris, and there's too many to name. There's been a lot of people help me do that with some of the things that I didn't have. But
pretty awesome. Pretty amazing scaling job there. But
tell us about the little thing on the side that comes from the photo thing.
Yeah, the photo multiplier things. So that's what it is. It's
God, I hope you got a picture of those. That is a super awesome looking tube.
Yeah, I got a tube here. I got a couple of them, but this is what it looks like. It's like a vacuum tube, and it's got a pins. I don't even know. I don't pretend to know what they do with it or how it works, but I don't know if you can really see in there.
All of them are stacked up.
Yeah, let me see.
I want one of those. Where do I get one?
I got one. I got an extra one.
Man, I'd love to have. That's a great display item. See, that's the cool vintage stuff that you find where all these little knickknacks come from, all these little greeblies, and it's fun to collect the assemblies.
But these things are flat and they're just stacked inside. They have like a little screen on the back and vents. I don't know what this really does or how it works, but
well, now I'm gonna have to look it up tonight and
it's
read
cool.
about it. I love old vacuum tube stuff. All my old amps and things are all old vacuum tubes.
And I
And then
think I have the
think
correct variation for all the Star Wars stuff, but I'm not going to bust it open to see. I don't really need to,
no,
but it's pretty cool.
kind of preserve it for history.
Yeah.
That's awesome, Scott.
Yeah, but it's cool. But you can get them on eBay. They're pretty readily available.
Well, man, if you see one, I mean, link it. I'll be glad to.
I have to look at. I have to look back and find which one I got, and then see if I can find some more. Well, actually, it says it right there. Type 9856B. EMI is the brand.
Nice. There you go, fans. Get looking, but don't buy them all because I need one.
I think this is the right one, but it might not be.
Well, if it's not, we're going to get a bunch of emails telling us. That's the one great thing about what we're doing here, Scott. If we screw up somewhere, there'll be a lot of people telling us.
Yep.
Oh, you know what? The other day I got in this. Ian over, I think he's in Germany, found me another M38 scope. Really
nice.
Shape. Got a really good collection. That's probably end up somebody's custom build. So keep that in mind. Somebody got to go all out, you know. And
it seems like stuff goes in waves for me. I'll get like people doing one certain thing, and I'll get a bunch of them for a month or two, and then I'll have a big lull before I get like I haven't done an E11 in a while. I think I should have one coming soon though, right? For Chris.
Yeah, from Chris. I got to get his. I'm trying to finish up that DX17 kit. I ran out of some of those parts, and I'm making a bunch of little fill-in stuff. Like I'm actually machining some more E11 barrels for that kit right now too. So, I was gonna unbox this a while ago. Wasn't sure. I buy stuff from people when they find vintage stuff, and got a whole bunch of. Oh God, rattling in a zillion layers of plastic here. Ooh. Whole bunch of counters.
Can't see it. Oh yeah, it is. Cool.
The Hanks. I got to do it.
Are those the real ones?
Yeah. These look like they're all the small Eagle Hanks or counters. About 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. About 12 of them. Oh,
wow.
But yeah, those are, this ought to be a fun time because I need to put them up with the E11s and that super duper pro kit, because there's some guys like to, if I've got vintage stuff, I'll do some of the builds with the real gear on them.
Yeah.
That's fun to find too. Oh, let's see. You know what? That's kind of some old stuff. Oh, you know what? Going back to Leia, which everybody's chomping at the bit for, I'm sure. This is another part here, and you'll know what it is. Get it up here on the screen.
Yep.
Okay. This sucks. Okay. This is a crap hard part to make. And what it does, it's the return spring. I got to change.
You want to take it off?
Yeah, here.
Here
we go.
Okay.
Get it in the screen, in the thing. Our backdrop screw with us. Okay, it goes in the front here. This is what the return spring for the slide when it fires, and so you can rack it. Well, if you look at this piece right here, you see how it's got that angled shape.
Yep.
It locks in. I got one separate here, and you probably see a little easier. Oh, damn it! Here we go.
Yeah.
See that?
Yep.
Well, that's a bitch to machine.
I bet.
Yeah. And this piece here, the little flat piece, they've actually brazed this together. And I'm trying to, like I always tell you when we're doing these replicas, the trigger mech is a lot of money. It ends up costing, I bet you in the Leia, the trigger mech with all the extra machining inside the frame, the springs, trigger, sear, hammer, that recop mechanism, I bet this is adding probably $200 to this replica, just so you can go click. It's gonna be cool, but there is a lot of detail in these little parts.
Yeah.
But
if you didn't have it, it would just be so much more boring.
Well, then you'd 3D print a solid object, spray painted black, and you go on with your miserable life. That's the way it is. Also notice this thing has a split in it. So this is how you get the, I don't know what they call this. I went and looked this part's name up right here, but I forget what it is. This goes across.
Yeah, that locks it into the gun.
Yeah, it goes across through this hole right here and locks everything in. All these pieces, you just can't hold them and do all the stuff to them. I am 900% sure that this was cut out square and somebody filed all these round radiuses in there by hand.
It's crazy. I made a couple of those.
Oh, really?
From scratch. Just, you know.
Well, you won't have to do that anymore.
Measuring, well, for the gun, for a real gun, you got to make them out of hardened steel. Because I made it out of, the first one I made out of soft steel, and I didn't heat treat it, and it bent up big time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, big time. It won't survive it. Yeah. And there again, some of these parts in the internal mech, I am making changes to them. They will not work in a real gun.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how everybody's, oh, this is so close. No, you put this stuff in your real gun, it's not going to function.
Yeah.
I cheat in a few areas, like move some pivot points and spring points, so that if you do try to put them in there, it's not going to function. And if you try to use this piece here, it doesn't lock in the same. It'll look the same on the outside, but it's not gonna, it won't work either. There again, it would bend up big time too. Wouldn't last very long. But this is a bitch part to make. You know, it's another one of those little things that you got to flip 9 times, and you can't see it, but there's radiuses on all of these internal grooves.
They curve.
Yeah,
they're round.
And then the straight parts, it really pain in the ass, you know. That part I got done, which was a major, that's another one of those things, Scott, where I've been dreading, you know, doing on this thing that's got behind me now. And then the other thing, I mocked this up with a spring. And if you, this one right here is all kind of one piece. Okay. All of this is one piece, and there's a head on it here, and then this spring, and it goes back into a hole underneath the barrel, so that when you pull the trigger, you know, this thing goes back and, you know, in returns. Okay. So I simplified it, because obviously we don't have to do that kind of stuff. This thing will go in there like this, but there again, I changed this rod, which would be one piece, and I got 2 springs. I'll have 1 spring when I do it for real. You can assemble it, because I'm putting a nut here, threaded rod, and then I simplified this piece here. It doesn't have all the detail to it, but it looks fine from the front. It doesn't need all those other little things that had on it. And I was able to machine this actually not too hard. This was actually not too bad of a part, but you slide it together, and when it's through the gun, you know, through the front there, you just screw this piece on.
Yeah.
You know, it don't open and lock like the other one, but we don't need to do that.
It doesn't need to. Yeah.
And it would be really, really hard and expensive to do the other way. And it's one of those things I'm cheating on there, because that detail I don't think is ever going to be really worth the money to the replica, you know, to the blaster.
It doesn't matter cosmetically. So
no.
Yeah.
No, cosmetically, you know, you're looking at this guy right here, you know, looks the same. And the
only part you see of it is the knurled thing sitting out in the front. That's it.
Right. That's the only part. The flat piece back is back in the gun. You don't see that.
Yeah.
And it still has the right here where you put this piece across it here.
Yeah.
And that's the way that sets in there. Well, I got it backwards, don't I? Locks like this. Yeah, it locks in there. See it here. I'm going to get my background and turn it off here in a minute, Scott. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when it's in the gun, that's what locks it in place.
I have the winged version here, right here.
Yep, I've got.
Oh, and the other thing, but people might not notice, is it also has a scoop right here in the middle.
Yep.
Relief. So it's not just flat across it.
Oh yeah.
It has this scoop in the metal.
Yeah, this right here, I haven't done that to it yet, but it will. I think they've already done them, but this one don't have it on there. But that's barrel clearance. So when you're sliding it up in there, it misses the barrel and you can get it locked in place.
Yep. And this edge is rounded off. These edges.
That one's used on the Return of the Jedi one.
Yeah.
Which version? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's easier. You can use it as to pull the slide back.
Yeah.
I guess that's why they made it, to help out with that. But
yeah, there is some variations in them. Oh, another kind of cute little fact here. I don't know if you can see this. Nope.
We can't see the knurl, but I know
Yeah, I'm trying to show the knurling that's around it. I discovered when I was trying to do the knurling, it's a 40 TPI knurling, crosshatch knurling like you're used to, which is pretty fine. You know, they usually, if you buy them traditionally, they stop at about 30, 35. This company called AccuTrack specializes in knurling. I actually sent him the piece, and this thing, I've got 2 of these things, and they look way finer than that. I mean, my eyesight's not great, but you know, he looked at it under the comparator and determined that one wheel was hitting and the other one was doing like a double tap with it. So it made it look a lot finer than it was. I thought it was like a 50 or 60. I couldn't figure out what wheels to use. And he actually got me a set of wheels that are the right pitch. And what's crazy about it is this is more machine and stuff. I don't know if you've done any knurling on your little lathe.
Yeah.
You got the regular bump one that has the single wheel, or is it the dual?
It's got 2 wheels. Yeah, it's got 2 wheels like that.
Well, in the CNC machine, you've got 2 wheels that are opposite slanted diagonals, you know, that'll come in and cut the pattern on it. Well, you when you're doing something this small, those wheels will come down and just break the piece
Break it off, yeah.
So he and it has to be done. This is a little less than half-inch piece. So he had some wheels that were half-inch wide, and I get the scissors right, so it comes in there and basically grips it on the top and bottom. Yeah. And it comes to the knurling tool, goes real quick. I'll try to post a video of that on YouTube later today. It's really fast, but it come out pretty much perfect. But you know, there was a lot of work into just copying those knurls. You know, like all the knurls. I mean, even on doing the stuff like this, you know, that is an ultra fine little knurl there. It's not standard stuff you buy every day. And I go through a lot of time and effort to try to copy those things as close as possible anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy that I think knurling is underappreciated.
Well, you know, there again, I had to make custom knurls for that Hensoldt scope. You remember the bead knurling?
Yeah.
This same company, I had them, they actually scanned and we copied the knurl shapes for all those little dots that went around there. And I had knurling tool. I spent a fortune.
Yeah, dude, those scopes, they have a lot of variations, different kinds, different sizes. They have small beads, big beads. They have diamonds. They have all kinds of knurls. I've had them.
Well, most of us are used to seeing knurling on tools. It's pretty standard.
Yeah.
We're talking about stuff that gets really small, or when you start doing a bunch of straight knurls or bead knurling. The only people I know doing bead knurling was back, 70, 80, 100 years ago, the Germans. They were the masters at making those form tools to do those really awesome looking knurls. I don't know if anybody else that uses it.
And you don't ever see overlap or pattern overlap on those things.
No.
It's crazy. No. I don't know how.
No, in fact, that Hensoldt, when I do the bead knurling on that I have to turn that piece to a precise size and hold a very tight tolerance on the OD, because that knurl tool comes down and it's got to not overlap. It's when it comes around, it's got to meet, the pattern's got to meet up all the way around.
Yeah.
It goes done. If it doesn't, you end up tearing it up.
I wonder how many they went through trying to get it right.
Who knows, man?
Man,
I just want to know the guy who sat around all day and made that tool by hand back then. Because the guys now use EDM or something, it's like, holy crap. We're so stupid now compared to people back then.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you're into, we're talking about metalwork, which is kind of cool. I don't know if you're into things like this, but I have a bunch of Japanese swords, and look at this.
Yeah.
This is all hand done.
Nice.
Hundreds of years ago.
Hand hammered.
Out of iron, hand carved. Each gold bead is there.
Wow.
All these sakura leaves are hand carved in iron.
Oh, wow. Okay, I can see it now. Yeah.
There's a companion piece.
Wow. Well, that's kind of why we do these shows. I especially with everybody just wants to get a prop. You hear it all the time. What's the cheapest thing? What's this? What's that? And there's 1,000 people out there making junk, and what we're trying to do is educate people into the art form behind this, because the people that made these vintage items were geniuses, and the people that took these things and found these things and put them together were geniuses too.
Look at
That's really cool.
Take a look at this one.
Yeah.
It might be hard to see the detail on.
No, it's pretty good.
This is iron, and it's got
How old is that?
Silver inlay. Funny enough, this is made by Patrice. I don't know how to say his last name. Smolik, I think. He is a dude in France who, part of the RPF, he was making like Obi-Wan sabers. He was really detail oriented. He kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I haven't seen anything from him for a while, but he was also into swords and made this Tsuba, and the craftsmanship is like really good. I mean, it's very, I have to show you pictures up close, but they're, you know how a skull has like the different plates in it, has like the little lines and stuff. All that is engraved in there. It's insane detail. It's super, super cool. This is master level work.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, but
I love it. All the old machines and old stuff like that.
yeah.
It's amazing. You know, oftentimes people are like, they underestimate that stuff.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, when it comes to one of the simplest things in our lives is a little spring. And everybody thinks, oh, it's just a stupid little spring. They grow somewhere, right? They just, they dig them up out of the ground. No. In fact, one of the most high-tech spring manufacturers is down the road from me, Diamond Wire Tool. And I've been lucky to get in there once or twice, because they don't let you go back there because it's so freaking high-tech. It's funny to sit there and watch them running, 80-year-old machines that are still high-tech and still doing crazy stuff. Yet the person running them and setting them up is he's a freaking artist. There's no textbook where you go over and go, oh, here, I need to make this one go boop, 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 done. No. And all this stuff's like that with the CNC stuff. And especially, like with the Mauser and this Margolin, I keep reiterating it over and over. Not only did they do all these shapes and contours on these guns, but they blended them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do that with CNC profile machining. Okay. They had to do it with form tools and polishing and filing.
This is one of my favorite things to pick up. I mean, yes. And I think people don't really think about it, but the way this is machined is so smooth and ergonomic. It's completely done with profile machining. That's the Boba Fett pistol replica. Yeah. Man, Scott, that looks really good, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of my favorite props too that I've done in a long time. And you know what? It's not that expensive, and actually a lot of parts on it were pretty simple, but the frame really wasn't. That was a tough piece to do. I did sand and smooth the frame before painting it, but you made it look like Bakelite there, like, because the real one's plastic, by the way. It's Bakelite. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's smooth. It is like just. The contours are cool, real cool. If you're a Boba Fett fan, there you go. That would be this one. And I think the other one that people don't really think about or realize that is the machining was really cool to me is the Webley. Yeah. The one you did. This part. Yeah. This piece. Yep. Yeah, that's actually, when it's held up, that end mill has to actually work down into all those places, because those are almost scalloped out. There's not a straight radius there. Yeah. Okay. The background's pissing me off. I gotta take it off. Hey, how do we take our backgrounds off? Go to the Zoom preferences. Zoom preferences. There we go. Where the heck is that? Are you on a Mac or a PC? PC. Still should be up by the file or program menu at the top. View. Should be under, I forgot what it's called in Windows, not preferences. Maybe it's preferences or settings or app settings or something. I'll just tell John to come in here and change them. But you can tell I'm still working through my my Zoom skills. But yeah. This one was impressive too to me. I was thinking about how it's machined. I was like, man, those contours and stuff.
Yeah. Well, not to mention there again, going back to the trigger back, those pieces, man, it's tough and the tolerances are tight. And, I try to put those together because it is an actual double acting trigger. Hey, how do I take the background off? This is John Curtin. This is my Imperial tech support here.
Imperial tech support.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's see here.
There we go. Beautiful. You were right, Scott. It was exactly where you said it was. I just couldn't find it.
Carry on, sir. Carry on.
Get back to work on the new and improved Death Star. I want no ventilation holes and double the guns. I want 2 of those big things on it. Yeah, thanks.
No shaft you can fly ships down to the reactor.
I said that right. We need to have a shaft, but it needs to be a dead end. It needs to go in a couple clicks and just be a dead freaking end. That'd be good. Fly some TIE fighters or fly some X-Wings down that. Welcome back to the R&D room. We're back in it. This is where I store all the projects from my life. So, back to the E3 there. Oh, one thing that kind of sucks about that version of it is it covers up that beautiful brass grip.
Oh, yeah. You got to paint over it.
Or bronze. It's kind of a brass bronze, but yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's that.
Double acting.
And double.
Yeah. And those 2 little pieces catch so weird. Have you ever studied that trigger mechanism, Scott? Sat down and looked at what's going on?
Yeah, because I have to fiddle with them when I'm.
Yeah, you got to polish them sometimes. It's catching this little piece. And then it breaks it up and then fires. And then there's a little flipper piece.
And it scoops right by the other piece when it fires. Yeah. And then it's got to come back and whip.
Yep. So one of my friends on Facebook, he broke his spring. And now I didn't use that spring in this design because I honestly couldn't figure out how to make that spring. The Wishbone Spring, that looked like that.
Oh, the real one,
spring. Oh my God. And you know what? You need like 5 people to compress it down. I don't know how they assembled the damn thing. I hate taking that apart, but his broke. And I have an extra one somewhere. And I was like, man, I'll look and see if I can find it, And he went to the gun store and they actually had one. It was probably from one of the Webley pistols because they use the same one. It's a little different, but it'll work. But he actually found one. He got really lucky there.
Wow.
So he bought a Webley pretty cheap because it was non-functional and got a $25 spring and put it back together, which that spring's probably worth way more than that. So
yeah. They're like on the Mausers, the real Mauser sight spring. Have you ever? It's hefty.
Yeah.
It's like there's
people
no way
are mad at me for not doing that. I get it all the time. My sight flips up. I said, well, I had to do something where you can slide it in there and not have to fight it. But yeah, I think you actually beef it up, don't you?
I just put a little bit strong. I mill the same depth hole but bigger, and then just put a stronger spring in it.
I think next time when I do those sights, maybe I probably won't be doing those again till next year because I have enough of them right there. But I may do that too. Try to beef that up.
But the real ones
running around with it.
The real ones you can't do it with your hands. I have to have a clamp and a tool to push it down. Like you have to clamp it all the way down and then wiggle it in.
It's a leaf. If I recall, it's a leaf spring that's slid up into a slot, and they've got it tempered. My God, you have to stand on it. They made sure that thing wasn't ever coming apart. That's for sure.
Well, what's crazy is as strong as that spring is, and even as hard as it is to lift by hand, when we were shooting that Jerry Michalek show and you see the ultra slow motion of the guns firing, when it fires, that thing flips up.
Yeah. It's called inertia.
Yeah, it's crazy. The forces involved in actually firing a bullet do crazy things to guns.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, anytime you have something moving that fast and then stops suddenly and then goes the other way, I mean, you pretty much have just infinite inertia to going the other way. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool. That was the other thing about that one. Oh, you know what? It's something I'm trying to do. I'm currently making a line of paintball guns again too. In case you haven't known, Me and a guy named Mike Wood have worked on paintball guns for years for a lot of the manufacturers who are all fucking crooks, just about. Most of them, not all of them. But the theft of that technology, me and Mike quit doing it for years. But we're going to start coming out with some vintage stuff, some stuff we were working on that never got used. And then I've got some ultra modern stuff coming out too. But one thing I'm trying to incorporate from the Mauser into some of the newer designs is the no tools required. You know, because the Mauser can be completely taken apart without tools.
Yeah.
No tools. Well, the grips, one
grips.
screwdriver.
Yeah.
That's it. But all the mechanism all locks together.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant how they did that. And they were good at that too, because even the Luger did that.
I don't have a real Luger to go by, but yeah, it's
Man,
all
you'd
just
be blown away. Lugers are so there's beautiful and as it's just like all these guns are made by just some super inspired people. You know, they're super nice. Oh, you know what? You mentioned this to me, and I can't remember the guy's name. He's a Facebook friends with us. You know what this is?
Yeah, MGC.
That's not MGC. I've got two that are apart here that I had to dig up because back when I was making this stuff. Well, he had broke this piece here, he said, the safety.
No, that didn't come with it.
Okay, that's possible too. And I've heard that. It's so weird because I'm hearing that a lot. There must be some pieces out there. This thing pops on a little notch on the side right
Yeah,
there.
if you disassemble it, it just falls out. They fall out easily.
Well, I get asked if the Mauser one that I make, you know, for the steel Mauser will work on it. And the answer is yes. Well, I drilled it out here, but there we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
It actually pops on the side. Now, I don't have the little notch. It's not going to be there. So the safety actually works on the MGC. Yeah. But if you're doing something just to have the look, this will actually look more like the real Mauser than the MGC one. The MGC is just a round with knurls on it, which if you're making something with MGC, that's actually screen accurate. But
and the MGC one, it has a little pin that goes into and stops the hammer from doing its thing. But that thing is like riveted on, and they fall off. They break.
It's not riveted on. It's got a little. It's brazed on. There again, they do those little brazing.
Well,
things,
I've had one break off, and it's got a pin. It's got like it's got a shoulder and a small little part that's the thickness of that metal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little boss on it that sticks through it.
Yeah.
Now, even this one that I have here's been up pretty good. You can tell somebody was pretty hard on it. Well, it could have been me being hard on it. I'll take all this junk apart and never put it back together.
That alloy, whatever they use, that Zamac alloy that they use gets brittle over time. And those internal parts can just shatter and break.
Yeah. Well, you know, that casting material is it's good. It flows well. That's why they like to use it. You know, trying to cast in steel or, you know, I actually cast my scope mount for the DL44 in steel, and it's not smooth as glass. You got to do a little after work to it, but you won't break those.
No, they're hard.
I had the choice of doing it in the Zamac, but you know, I just I don't know. It's give or take. I mean, it's done now. So
back in the day, Dark Energy Creations, when he was making them, he opted to do some 3D printed steel ones.
Yeah.
Those were ridiculous. You couldn't drill them. You couldn't tap them.
I actually found that. I've got one of those somewhere, and I've got one of his. I think he has a rotary, what they call a rotocast.
Yeah, the pewter ones.
Yeah, he does them in pewters, two rubber pieces that come together with the stuff in it, and he rotocasts. You know, they're pewter. Those are real soft.
So yeah, super soft. Yeah, but the 3D printed steel ones were ridiculous because of how they center the metal as it hardens it as it does it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's not the way. I've always wondered, and especially now, we probably ought to touch on this. You kind of enlightened me about this. Again, there's more to the story, but that stupid auction coming up here with the Hero, you know, the Bapti ANX Hero, where, you know, it's kind of misrepresented. I think they're kind of, you said they're kind of telling the truth, but everybody's, thinking it's the real thing, and it's just the scope,
The
that's on
scope
it.
and the top rings are the only, to me, the 100% real parts. The cradle is supposed to be, and I don't have an example here, but the
Well, the
cradle,
cradle don't look right to me. The cradle
they
is actually,
claim the cradle is the original one. And some of the tool marks look like they match up, but some of it doesn't. Like the flats on the backside don't look exactly the same. One of them does, but the other one doesn't.
well, see, I think he's lying about that, because that cradle part on the original one, when you see the pictures of it, they're not two pieces. They're setting a cradle and then the two uprights.
Yeah, it's all
You
one
can see
piece.
it. It's done like the Master's replica is.
And it's got like a scoop on the bottom of the cradle where they
Yeah.
machine that hole.
Yeah,
And the new one, the one that the Pawn Stars or the auction one doesn't
have that.
It's come flat across. But it's hard to tell if it was repaired as they claim, if they, I don't know why they would do it, but they brazed the new uprights on it or something like that. Maybe they filled a lot of metal in. I'm not sure.
Now, this is a Master's replica. I found this digging the other day. I didn't even know I had this thing.
That's the
very-
old one. That's the first version based off of Denix.
Really?
Yeah, look at it. It's a Denix.
Oh, it is.
They just copied a Denix.
Yeah, it's got the diamond in the center right here.
Yeah.
Wow, I never noticed. Yeah, everything's wrong about this.
Everything's wrong about that.
But you know what? I wanted to show you the scope mount. You see,
Yeah.
they did it bridged right there. The one, the real one doesn't do that.
Right.
And I've always told you, everybody scaled their reproductions off of this model,
Yeah.
and they're all too tall. And I don't know. I think that the guys they tried to pawn that stupid thing off on the Pawn Stars a few years ago, and we went through this same thing where everybody was going like, "Holy crap! That they found it! It's here. We've got the real one."
Well,
And we're going through that again. Somebody's going to pay big money for that.
like 2 years before Pawn Stars, it went to Prop Store. They tried to sell it at Prop Store.
Yeah, well, they're not going to get it by those guys.
Well, yeah, well, that's how I first saw it. As Brandon sent me pictures and was like, "What is this?" And I said, "Holy crap, that's the real scope." And I said, "The top rings looked right, but the rest of it's bunk." It's like because I didn't know the story at the time. I just had the pictures, and I was looking at it, I was going, where the hell did this come from? Because this is the real scope. I was convinced immediately, almost immediately, that it was the real scope and the top rings. But I was like, it can't, it's not, the scope was so convincing that I was like, I didn't know the story. I said, okay, so if this is a replica, if it's a fake, they went to extraordinary lengths to fake the scope and the top rings, but none of the rest. So it didn't make sense that it was a fake, like they were trying to make a fake, right?
Right.
So I said, I don't know what the story is, but if this is made by the same company or at the same time, if these are spare parts, that's kind of neat, but it's not the prop. It's not, we can match the serial number, dates back. We can match the mount because it, we even know that the mount had a dovetail on it. There was visual evidence of it.
Right. Well, does this one now have the right serial number on the gun?
No, it's completely different.
Well, see, you told me that that was found out it was sold in a government buyback, so that gun's gone and destroyed.
Yeah, I don't know if that part of the story is in the story that they're putting in the auction, but I've seen like I've been told the conversation of all that stuff that went down, and the Bapti owner guy said that, I can't remember if it was in the 80s or I think it was in the 80s when the government had a buyback. Basically, they wanted to get rid of a bunch of guns in England, and the original gun and lots of other ones were part of that, where they just were taken by the government and destroyed.
Your guns to the government.
Yeah. And then the flash hider that they used for Prop Store and Pawn Stars is the same exact one that's on there now, but they bead blasted it back then, and now they've just kind of refinished it to make it look better, but it's the same one. And so it's not the screen used flash hider either, because you can see the knurls on the back part are completely different.
Yeah, that's a shame. Well, buyer beware. I'd love to have the scope. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, at the time I was like, I want the scope. What do they want for the scope?
Well, man, you know what? If you watch the guys like what is it, the Rockola Rockin' something cafe, or I can't draw a blank on it. They buy a bunch of that stuff. Some of these big chains that
Oh, yeah.
what is the name of that?
Like Hard Rock Cafe.
Hard Rock Cafe. I think they bought one of the blasters is on display. Paid big
Planet
money.
Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, big money. And they don't give a crap, you know. I mean, there's no telling. Somehow probably give $1 million for that thing.
They're gonna make money off of it one way or the other, but it's kind of like that lightsaber, that Kurt's lightsaber that got sold to Ripley's for like $450,000 that they kept saying was the Luke's, but it wasn't. You know, all of us know it, but the general public, you know,
don't know it.
They don't know, and our loud voice in our tiny little community doesn't get out there unless someone, you know, unless it gets viral, like someone saying, hey, this is not the real thing, then nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, enough of that. Buyer beware, you know, but you heard it here. That's not the original one.
No, I'd love to have the scope though. I can't imagine how much the screen use scope would be worth.
Well, a Hensoldt that's the right variant will bring, hell, I've had people offer me $9,000 or $10,000 for some of mine, you know. So
the last two I have are they're like perfect.
Yeah.
But so far I haven't tried to sell them, but if someone wanted to buy them, it would take a lot of money.
Yeah, because they don't pop up anymore.
I've noticed that I haven't seen any just come up.
No, they don't. Well, hey, I tell you what, I'll show you this this other part that we're starting right now for the Leia. Going back to the Leia, I know we jump around a lot, or I do anyway. I'll try to screen share this, so don't laugh. Let's see here. Can you see that?
I can see it. Oh,
you know what that is?
Is it a sear?
That's the sear. And I tell you what, see
that stupid little arm coming off the side.
Off the side of the trigger hits that little flange that sticks out the side of there. And
oh man,
you know, yeah, that's one of those parts, you know, when all the Margling guys all over the world, or anybody who happens to have one of these things, ain't that many of us, but that part you ain't never taken out of your gun. And I can tell you why, because it sucks. That thing is got the pins through that don't just come out. I was very, very lucky that the last Margling, let me get rid of this here. That the last, stop sharing, there it is. Okay, am I back?
Yeah.
The last Margling I bought was brand new in the box. I mean, I think I did a video on that. It never fired, never had a bullet through it, and it had a complete parts kit with it. Extra hammer sear trigger, and had an extra sear and all the other springs. But look how tiny this little guy is. You see that?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm worried about, I'm going to do this in steel because I'm worried that little flange right there, I don't know if it's going to work. Okay. I have a backup plan though. If I can't machine that on there without it breaking off, or when I put it in there, you know, the little arm pushing on it doesn't, you know, there's a spring that hooks in it, and then the arm from the trigger pushes here. That's what releases the hammer. I'm going to drill a hole and I'm going to put a dowel in there, because in reality, I'm not going to have the spring tensions the real gun has. You know, I do that on all of them. The springs will be super light, and hopefully that'll be enough to make it work. But that's the next horrible challenge against in the.
Wow. Yeah. That the contours, all that look ridiculous.
Well, it is, and it's deceiving. You know, no part that you ever pull off of these things is just, well, just draw a line and this is square, and oh, that's a 1/4 inch radius, blah, blah, blah. No, it never works that way. It's always weird shit, and it always blends into something else. It's because some guy's job was, when that little blank come off, we probably made it by hand, you know, and shaped it and finished it, and it makes it really tough. I mean, you have to copy all that stuff, and we'll see, because, you know, hopefully before the week's over, I have that part done. You know, it'll be another thing done on the Margling. So Leia's getting close, Scott. I mean, you know what? If everything went perfect, you know, 3 or 4 more weeks, I should have all the parts and pieces done on this thing.
Wow.
And I told you I couldn't do something that I actually did. There's a ton of really cool screws all over this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, during COVID, a lot of people went out of business or quit or whatever, and the screw shop that does a lot of my reproduction screws, because if you'll notice on the Mauser or the Webley, I copied the screws on them. I made the heads. I might have changed some threads sometimes because I like to do stuff in imperial threads. I know, sorry, Europe, rest of the world that loves metric, but the US loves imperial. And so I always try to move them to that. This stupid thing's got weird threads. I mean, this is like communist threads. Seriously, they're not real. They made everything different on it, which the Russians are notorious for. But I've changed them all to 440s and 632s, make it a little easier to deal with. But the heads and the links and the look of the screws, they'll be exactly the same. So that was real important. And I thought I've been trying to source, cheesehead screws and things that were really close, or get as close as I could with stuff that's on the market. But that was giving me a really, that kind of gave me a kind of a bad feeling on this. But up until about 2 weeks ago, that was my only option, but
Yeah.
thank God that this place is back online now, and they took it. So there's about 6 screws that are going to happen. So
Cool.
they'll be look perfect. So
Nice.
that'll be the holdup though. That's probably the last part, and that's what'll stretch it out about a month, because I'm about 30 days out from probably seeing those. So that'll be one of the last things to get in, and heck, it'll be good to go.
Very cool.
Let's see here. Oh, I didn't bring this part in here, but we did get the mag release. This is the real one, but the mag release is done too. John is actually machining today a mock mag to go on the bottom, which it may, there's some people with Morgans out there that have the wrong mag. There's one that has the big mag. Here's the real mag.
Yeah. Some of them have like a swoop.
Yeah, one has a bigger swoop. It's wrong, and you can't find these. You're screwed. You're never going to find one.
No. In fact, it doesn't matter if you can find them or not. They were fit to the guns.
Yeah.
They're
well,
numbered.
Chances are you probably could get that to work somehow, but still, the hole for it, yeah, this taper, that if you can see that it's tapered, and so that's kind of a problem. Plus the hook, I call it the hook here.
Yeah.
I've got 2 different Margolins, and that hook right there is a little different on both of them.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
The few that I've had here, none of the magazines from one would fit in any of the others.
Yep. Well, I'm going to try to make this mag here. We're going to make it about that long. Let's see, cover it up about that long at that angle. So you'll have this, and it'll screw together from the bottom to kind of imitate this screw right here, or this little. That's what keeps the bottom on. It's a little piece of metal, spring loaded.
Well,
that's
interesting.
Stick that on
that one's metal. Mine are Bakelite.
Yeah, they could be. I think the other one I've got is like that. But at least you'll have a replica you can put in your real one. I hope that'll work on a lot of them. That way you can, at least if you've got a real Margolin, you can get rid of the wrong mag.
I don't think there's that many out there. There's
10
handful, maybe.
Yeah, there's maybe 6, 8, 10 that people have tried to do this with, but a lot of them, they've got the Margolins, but they're the wrong variant, with mags and some other stuff. So it's kind of dams that up.
I know Marcus has 2 or more.
Marcus probably has a room full of them for all we know.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you, Marcus. He's been around collecting stuff for a long time. German buddy over there. He's a wealth of information, but he's got.
Pretty sure his are deactivated though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, other countries get so lucky with deactivations, that even Canada, they're not all chopped up to bits.
You can get a real Sterling that's deactivated to make a real E11.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay, it's a paperweight, but it looks great. And it's not chopped to bits. And
yep. Let's see. We're getting lengthy on this video. Last but not least. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll show this real quick.
I was going to ask about that. I want to see.
Yeah, everybody's looking at the back. I'm seeing my phone is going off. right here. When people tell us to show this thing, you see that?
Yeah. That looks pretty good. It looks like their casting is super clean.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. There's a lot of stuff. They missed some stuff. I mean, I've got the pieces to this, but I mean, this is really a good replica. There's the disc everybody's asking about. They're glued on there. I made these boxes. Damn, this thing's heavy. I made the boxes here hollow. These are 3D printing. As much as I hate 3D printing, I wanted to do something. This thing's already heavy enough without adding a metal box. This thing snaps on. You know, you can put electronics in it. A couple of guys doing that already. And I made the insert piece that goes here. That looks right. So
What's in there?
Stop. This is a super cool replica. I don't have very many of these. I waited about 3 years to get these from Denix.
This is what I have.
Resin? Yeah.
The rubber.
Oh, nice.
It's for my costume, my sand trooper costume, but it's so it's hyper firm, but it's rubber.
Yeah, let me see the opposite side. No, that's it. Let me see the breech.
Yeah,
they kind of did a little bit of the detail in the breech on the hyperfirm. And if you can see this one, if I can get it in the light, you see that?
Oh,
there's some details in there.
Yeah.
And thank you. There's not many good pictures of these blasters from the original New Hope, and people sent me some really good stuff because I was really worried about getting that section done. Yeah, nice. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to get one of those Denix ones, but the mannequin can't hold even this, and this is light.
Yeah, this right here, this is put this on the wall. Looks super cool. And
this is so light you can do it one-handed.
This one's so heavy, I'm gonna go set it down.
It kind of wobbles, but it's cool because if I want to wear my sand trooper costume, I can hold it and look cool.
Get this thing back here. Jumping real quick. We're getting to where we're starting to be able to mop this up.
Oh, cool.
Yep. Now I've got this.
Oh, wow. You know, it's funny how much of a difference that makes.
Yeah.
Man, I almost would say it's cooler to not paint it and just leave it all like that. That looks awesome.
It's badass, isn't it? I'm working on the inside. John's working on the plug. So I want these to be able to, when you get them, they'll screw and sandwich these two pieces together. It's not as easy a task as you think, because this thing's contoured and tapered, but we're really close on that. Still have the trigger to make. Okay. It pivots here, hits between two blocks here. I'm going to try to put a spring in it. One of the discs will go on the side, which I tell you what, the prop guys loved all those. What is that disc? The Mitchell.
Oh yeah, the Mitchell,
whatever I called it. Both.
Turntable, yeah.
Yep. So you've got a disc that's going to go right here. This one, the beveled one. This is the tapered one that went on the MG over there.
I'm sure they just went to that company and were like, hey, we want to buy a whole bunch of spare parts.
There must have been a radio store or TV shop with a bunch of repair crap, and they just went and bought them because, man, those discs show up everywhere.
Yeah,
they're all over. And when you look at this thing, I mean, look, just on this side, you've got the pulley, you've got two beveled discs here, and then over here you got 3 more of these things. They must have had a crap load of those record players. So. But we've got all that kind of taken care of.
That's cool.
Notice this too. I think I showed it last time. This is real important, and not very many people, even the 3 people that I know that have this bow, don't have that. Marcus, of course, in Germany, he's the only one. Thank God he helped me make this thing. Y'all go thank him. How do you say his last name? Odinal?
Odinal, I think.
He's going to kill us. Anyway, we tried our best.
I have to look.
We did our best, man. We did our best.
gotta
buy
look
you a
at how it's
beer.
spelled
Buy you a
again.
beer when I'm in Germany next. But
he
he had
he
his
is
back.
a very gracious host.
No kidding, man. That guy's
Odendahl.
yeah, great guy. If you don't know him, you ought to try to know him. He's super nice. You'll be lucky if he friends you. He's probably got enough followers that he's probably rocked.
When we went, we'd only ever met on the
Oh yeah,
RPF
you've
and
met him.
stuff.
You've actually met him in person.
Yeah, I've been to his house.
Yeah.
But I just want to plug him because not many people would do this. We went on a trip to, Italy and Germany and went to Cologne, and he took time out of his day. He scheduled basically an on-foot tour and took us all over Cologne. He took us to the cathedral. He told us history about things. Really unbelievably cool. Just a really cool dude. I can't say enough. He treated Tim and Luke top notch. We went to his house. It's just a gracious host. I got to look at all his, it was kind of information overload. It was just so much cool stuff.
Well, man, he's been doing it. I've been doing this stuff about 6 years, machining and got into this. You've been doing it for how long?
I kind of got into this around 2012, 11, 12, something like that.
I don't know how long he's been in it, but it must be longer than that, because when I first started on the RPF, I realized him, and there was another German who I don't know his name. I think his name's Michael, but it's his Lichbringer on.
Oh RPF. Yeah.
Man, and he's tough. He was always pretty tough on me. If you made something that didn't look right, I'd get the thing that yours sucks and quit making it. I'm sorry, man. What do I need to change? And then he'd tell you what to change, and then you move on. He's like, that's great. He was always kind of that guy.
Yeah.
But they just had the luck of being in an area where a lot of this war paraphernalia, which especially the tank telescopes and the Hensholtz, and they've had all this stuff for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
So it's
nice.
nice.
I'm not an RPF old timer like some of these guys. I think Chris and David, those guys have been on there for a long time. I've only been on there since 2012, I think.
Well, you know what? I tell everybody, I'm plugging this for Art Andrews too, but the RPF is a huge vault of information, especially if you go back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research that got us to the point where you're seeing now. I'm a product of that. And whitearmor.net.
Yeah.
That is the 501st site. There's a ton of stuff if you're doing, anything with a Stormtrooper E11s. My God, all the cylinder stuff, go see that stuff. I don't think it gets the traffic it used to, because I think we're on Instagram and Facebook and all the other stuff.
Problem with Facebook is there's info out there, but it's a lot of regurgitated, incorrect stuff.
Yeah, well,
someone will see it, go, oh, well, that's the fact, and then they'll repeat it, and it's not the fact, and it just keeps going.
Well, that's the thing with this blaster that's coming up for auction, the NH blaster. Holy crap! I got 100 people going like, "You gonna buy it?" I'm like, hell no, it's not real. They're like, huh? I said no. It's going to go for $500,000, and it's being really, that's what happens. And another thing too, and I'm not down on these people. Everybody's at a different level of their artistic ability or financial or whatever. But I really, on the RPF, you were striving to find the truth about a replica. And I think on Facebook, it's like somebody prints a glob of some crap and goes, "I've mastered it. This is awesome." And 20 people tell them how great they did. And then all of a sudden they start thinking that's the standard. And there again, I'm not down, and you do the best you can. I'll help you any way I can.
Right. Everybody starts someplace.
Yes.
In knowledge and in skill. And
I can't paint and weather as good as you can, but I can machine better than you. So, everybody has their place,
Right.
And I just hope that you realize that, there's a level of perfection, I think, that we're always striving for.
Yeah.
That I don't think you should stop and just, that it gets lost on the Facebook, I think. I don't know.
It does. And there's an aspect to it that, well, now there's a lot of money involved in certain things, and a lot of secrecy, and people lament it. And I lament it too, that like you can't share anything. anymore because someone owns the rights to it or whatever, or there's a gentleman's agreement that you're privy to this, but you can't tell anybody or show anybody this or that, which I get. I 100% get it, but I don't have to like it, you know?
Well, and I'm stuck with a few of that too.
Yeah.
I know you are. This is the next part. And I want you to show you on the bowcaster because I don't have it fastened. I set it on there. Now I will tell you, and there again, I'm not down in anybody's work, but there's some things and some kits out there that are not correct and are misscaled because the simple fact that they didn't have this to scale from.
Right.
But all of this lines up. My scaling, and me and John working on this, just scaling hardcore from the pictures and mounting it on the real thing, come out perfect. And I don't know. I mean, I love when that happens because math doesn't lie. And when you're scaling from a known item on a picture, you know, kind of what we have to do when we don't have the real stuff. You take what you do know and you do the math and you start scaling everything. We built this entire assembly right here from pictures, scaled, and got that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you notice in the back here, my forks are not bent because they're not in the pictures. Everybody's got that wrong. I see that on the RPF a lot. They think they bend in. They don't. There's also this piece in the back that I've got a picture. I'm not sure I'm allowed to. It's a blown up picture if I have it. Oh boy. Yeah, John is speaking of Photoshop. Can't find it here. Nope. This picture's, I can't find it. I had it. Anyway, when you go to that famous side view of the bowcaster, you see, oh my God, I really want to find that. Try to see if I can get it real quick. You need to see this. Okay. You see that?
Yep.
Okay. Those forks in the back, they're not straight. They're curved like knives, and everybody thinks gives them an illusion of being bent. They're not. I just wanted to show everybody that. And then there's another one. Let's find it here.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah, let's see here. There's the other side.
I wonder what that part is or was.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's hard to say.
I mean, it's got like a rivet in it.
Oh, this is the one that blew up and enhanced. And there again, I hope I'm not stepping on nobody here, but look at the back where the coil wire is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Notice there's a round piece. You see it at the end of the fork there, or end of the knife going back right above the coil. That's not a screw there. There's a nut there. You look real close, there's a nut. And on the other side, there's a flathead screw. And we've got that nailed down. And you can also see this, can you see me too, Scott? I'm on the screen. Or is it just
yeah.
There's that round piece there. Everybody misses that, but you can plainly see it in this picture.
Man, I can't see anything now. I don't know where. I don't know where's my zoom.
There you go. I can see you, Scott. You're on it.
Okay, well, I'm in limbo.
You must have hit a button somewhere.
Yeah,
But you can see as that goes together right there, and you see the angle of those fit together great. Plus, the one thing that told me that our scaling was on track was, number one, this piece right here.
There we are.
When it's screwed onto the front, overhangs at the top and bottom and sides, just like the picture. And I've noticed a couple kits that are out there that are 3D printed or done in metal. They're way too big. And when you try to put them on this gun, you've got this thing about this big on it, and it makes the sight real big and the barrel too big. And so I think we've done a very good job at doing the best we can at scaling, from pictures, because that's all we have. This prop is gone, right? It doesn't exist anywhere. So, yeah. So that's
everybody knows. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll go back to this too. We got talking about Marcus. He's the only one that I know of. There's only 3 people I know on the planet that actually own one of these Hortons. And you know what? Thank you, Mr. Horton, because he's been cheering me along, and I think that is so cool that the guy that invented this is watching this happen. And
does he not have one?
No,
Wow.
not. And if he does, he hadn't told me he has. But you know what? I think he lives in Hawaii, and I'm sure, man, this was a million years ago, and they didn't make but a handful of these things, from what I understand.
Really?
So, this site, I had it stamped out, and Marcus, with some very detailed pictures and a lot of help and a lot of back and forth. Here, one more measurement. I've got it pretty close. It's not perfect. No replica is going to be perfect to the real thing, but this thing is very important. You don't see this on the prop because they put those 3 scopes.
Yeah.
The 3 scopes go all the way around it. You got that single point, which will be, explosion here. The single point, which you're familiar with, has this scope here, which will clamp onto one of these. And then those other, what do you call it? The other scopes, the side, I don't know what you call those things, but they're on a lot of other stuff too. And I make a replica of it, or one.
There was Boba Fett clamps?
Yes.
Huh.
And you've got to squeeze that down and clamp on the ears on this one.
Ugh.
Holds that scope on the side. Ain't that crazy? But that's how, when you do this, you got those the 3 scopes that are on his
Is it 2? Is it 2 of them or just 1?
Let me go to the picture real quick.
That's 2 sets.
Yeah, front and back.
Yeah,
that makes sense. See if I got a good picture of it.
Yeah. Does is Mr. Horton aware of how iconic that has become and all that stuff? Is he?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
100%. Yes.
So he saw Star Wars and was like, "Hey, that's my crossbow."
What's his name? Jeremy Bullock, the original Boba Fett.
Yeah.
What? Oh God, I'm saying the wrong name. Just died. Played Chewie.
Yeah. Peter Mayhew.
Okay, his wife is aware of this project.
Okay.
So
she lives here. She lives not too far from here.
I know, and that's so cool. And
well, they both lived here. Of course.
Well, James Abram was in contact with her, and I got to follow up with her. They're talking about doing some kind of charity thing with it. So I think that's really neat.
Yeah.
That people are actually, they have some, background with it. They're watching the project go along. So yeah, it's kind of humbling. I'm doing the best I can, Mr. Horton. I'm doing the best I can,
That's
he
cool.
did have one of those things, but God, you talk about another unicorn in the world. It's like trying to find a balance pipe, or trying to find an old Horton Elite, crossbow, or all this other stuff that just, it's amazing how the prop guys back in that day
used the rare. It was rare then.
Yeah. God, they were freaking awesome,
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Obscure junk.
Yeah.
Compact scopes.
Yeah.
And it couldn't just be something that there was a million of. They had to pick like the rarest of the rare of all that stuff.
Well, I guess the mindset would have been was, they had to use junk because the budget, but they also had to find stuff that somebody didn't say, well, hey, I just bought that at the grocery store.
Yeah.
That's, they're using a milk jug, or something like that. So
yeah. Crazy.
I think I've gone through everything that's new. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but if I am, we'll just do another video in a couple of weeks. Looking around, I got so many projects going on. It's driving me crazy. I'm building 7 paintball guns new. That people haven't seen, all different operating systems, because I'm fucking going to show the world where this shit comes from. And then I've got both of these very complex builds going on. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy. I love being busy. But I am looking forward to a couple of these getting done, you know, and then I'm going to sit around probably, you know, through Christmas, and as these things are selling and people are happy, and then we'll talk about January, what the heck I'm going to do next year. You
That's what I
know,
was gonna say. These will be done soon, and then you'll have nothing to do.
oh my God, I got tons to do, and
Oh, I know that.
and I'm actually going back and having to machine more steel Mauser kits, you know, and this is about the 6th or 7th run of those, you know, so that's been a great project, and those are not fast to make, they're hard to make. So
Well, that's all I ever push. I tell them get the steel one. And well,
man.
I've still had people coming to me looking for real Mausers. I'm like, are you gonna shoot it? Then don't bother. It's not worth all the hassle. Just get the steel Mauser. It's perfect.
I get that. I get that too. And they always show me a picture of a Mauser and it's the wrong one.
Wrong
These
one
are-
or
these are
terrible
wrong.
condition.
Yes.
And I was like, this isn't, it's cheap, but it's not safe.
Oh, the one I've got, I actually really one day need to send my real one and let you do it. Just screw it together, not for firing. Because, you know, when I scanned it to do my replica, my barrel's bent a little bit and the frame's twisted.
Oh, wow.
And so you don't just go buy antique guns and go out to the range and shoot. You just
No,
don't
they
do
need to be
that.
sound. They need to be
Yes.
sound. And then, well, part of the thing is people don't really understand what it takes for me to make it work. It's not easy.
No. And you know what, guys, the people that are following us are always real supportive, and the new people that follow us. The one thing that I want you to understand is this is all a learning curve. It's a deep rabbit hole. Nothing's easy, but don't give up on it.
Yeah.
You know, I get it all the time. I said, you sure I can buy this kit and do it? I said, hell yeah, you can do it. You might not be able to do it 10 minutes, but there's videos, there's other stuff. I mean, it's a great thing we do. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of people miss it because they don't understand the collectible aspect of it, or even even if you're doing a commission build with somebody like Scott or Garrett or one of the other guys out there, you know, make sure, I mean, that's an interaction that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
You know, because you might be finding vintage stuff and he might be helping you find this. I mean, it's kind of a quest. I mean, hell, if you just want something to throw on the shelf, freaking Walmart or Target, go buy some crap, paint it black.
And I gotta
you know?
apologize sometimes because I think people like that aspect of it being built. If they don't have the skill or the time to do it themselves, they want me to do it.
Mhm.
I'm no problem, but I don't always take photos every step of the way, because some of the times it's part of it's just because I've done it so much, and I don't think everybody wants to see the exact same thing over and over. Maybe they do. But the other thing is, if I'm on a roll on a 3-hour stretch of doing something, I'm just getting stuff done, and I'm not thinking about taking a picture of every single little step.
Well, I mean, there's tricks of the trade too, which you need to keep. And but still, I mean, you know, having that one that Scott's done, and then all of a sudden you get another one you do. I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of for me, it's become quite a stress reliever. And, you know, especially with the way the world is, you know, everything's going to shit everywhere all the time. And, you know, I love it now that everybody's quit talking politics on all the Star Wars shit. We're back to talking about props again, because there for a while I was deleting people on my Facebook when they started getting political, because, you know, I do this stuff so that I don't have to put up with that shit. You know, I want to, you know, deal kind of in sci-fi land for a little while. And that's what it's good for. Hell, I got more friends on Facebook than I do here in Greer or Taylor, South Carolina here. So
Yeah.
interact with them more often during the day than I do with people here, you know, town. So
Yeah. Same here. Most of them are named Chris.
yeah, that is so weird. My name's Field Marshal, by the way. Yep. I have to change my name because I've got about 40 friends on that are Chris.
Must have been a very popular name in the 70s, 60s,
and 70s. Yeah. Yep. Christopher.
Must have been one of the top baby names.
Yeah. Cookie cuttered them out.
That and Michael. There were a lot of Michaels back in the day too.
Yeah. Well, no, for me, it's Chris and John. I mean, you know, there's 2 Johns that work here, one brother-in-law and the other one, Blanton, here helps, you know, do the CNC stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of those. So, well, hey guys, you know, that's all I got update for right now. I know But this is a long video again, Scott. We did this is a long one, but
Yeah,
we did. There's a lot of crap going on, you know. So it's
it's
all
all tangents, but it's okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know, hell, it's you know, if anybody's got any comments or wanting to add to it, you know, this things will be on my YouTube, and Scott, you put it on your Patreon and on your site.
I'll put it on Patreon first and then put it on YouTube.
Yeah. So hit like and follow, and you know, stay up on that doing the Margolin thing, or doing the Leia blaster contest. So
Yeah, definitely.
I want to mention that. Oh, you know what? Right before we go, I want one of the next parts I've got to do. You see that right there?
Yeah, we've talked about that one before.
Yeah. Well, that one's coming up here in the next week or so, and I don't freaking know how to make it. It's flat and it has a round piece on it, and I honest to God don't know. I mean, they must have had this piece and stuck it something and stamped it out, or I don't know. It's amazing how hard this stuff is to make. how to make one, you know. But it's getting there. We're getting closer. You know, hey, I'm Blaster Factory. I'm Phil Marshall, Chris Vandenberg from Blaster Factory, and
I'm
Scott Juarez.
Crucible Custom Props.
Yes, and you know what? If you got any questions, you want any comments, you know, hit both of us up, and if you've got something to add, hell, if you've got, I'm not speaking for Scott on this, but if you've got any vintage stuff you want to sell, you can always let me know about that. I'm always interested in that stuff, and
I'm always interested, but not always ready to buy something.
well, you just make sure that you always contact me first, okay? Then I'll let Scott know, okay? You know, that way, you know, we don't have any, you know, accidents where stuff goes where, you know, to him before me, you know. So you already own enough vintage shit, you know.
Not anymore. I sold a lot of it. I had to get guitars, so I sold a lot of stuff to get guitars.
God, don't make me get back into that for years and years and years and years. I did that my whole life. I'm getting beat on right now too. Talking about new projects, man. We're talking about making some guitars, and I need to build a new facility, put in some more machines, and man, imagine what I could route into a guitar body. You know, I could do all kinds of cut and carve, crazy crap. You know, and I've always had this idea of making these tuners. Making some nice tuners back when I was playing, and even now I'm watching the quality of a lot of that stuff's gone down, and go back and make some really good tuners.
Yeah, because the old ones still work better than the new ones.
Yeah, well, they're little gearboxes, and you know, I think that when they've geared those things for mass production, I would like to machine some that are very precise and have very small increments of change, you know, and hold in place and all that sort of stuff. You know, I've always wanted to do that. I've also had some floating tremolo bridge ideas too, which a lot of those patents have.
I've been wanting to get with you on a tremolo thing. I'll show you real quick. We'll actually hold up. So everybody, that's the video. See you guys later.
Yeah, you don't get to see the guitar stuff yet. So love you guys.
All right, bye.